Hey, what's up, guys? It's Brian, and today I'm going to try to run through some of the settings that you're going to find for networking here in VirtualBox and try to give a little explanation. The first one you'll come across is going to be not attached, and this is going to be um, as if your virtual machine was not plugged in to any network at all. It'd be just like having a computer that is unplugged from the network. You'd be able to perform any functions that you can um, with applications that are directly on your machine, but you won't have any access to a LAN or to the internet. Okay, for the second option that you're going to have here, it's going to be the default option. Whenever you make a machine, it's automatically going to be attached as network address translation. And to see what that means, we'll look at a couple of the machines that I have running here. First of all, my physical machine has an IP address of 192.168.0.2 with a default gateway of 192.168.0.10. This is going to be the 192.168.0.10 is my router, and DHCP for this internal network is handled by this router. Now, from the virtual side of this, let's look at the Windows 10 machine that I have running. You see here that it's been given an IP address of 10.0.2.15, and it has a default gateway of 10.0.2.2. Now, this default gateway represents basically the LAN facing side of my physical computer. So my physical network has been broken into a smaller LAN, smaller virtual LAN here. To prove that we have communication outside of the virtual LAN, we'll call it, to the physical LAN that my computer is residing on, and then to the internet, we're going to ping a couple of different places. First, we'll ping the LAN side, or the internal side of my physical computer. And we have a communication there. Next, I'm going to ping my physical router that is the gateway for my physical internal LAN. And again, we have communication there. Next, we'll ping Google and use 8.8.8.8. And we have communication there. So this demonstrates that we can communicate to the internet, communicate outside of our virtualized NAT network. So this means that we would have communication with other devices that are on the physical network, as well as communication with devices on the internet. Now, this does, however, mean that other virtual machines that are running in the NAT setting are going to have the same IP address as you see here with this Linux machine, 10.0.2.15. I could go ahead and ping my computer, which is also again going to be 10.0.2.2, and ping my router, which is 192.168.0.10, and you'd get the same results, but with the two machines running at the same time as they are, they can't communicate with each other. Okay, the next example that we're going to talk about is the NAT network. And what this is going to be is an internal network that your virtual machines can reside on that uses network address translation, just like in the previous setting, but we're going to set a network up that they can actually communicate with one another. So what you'll need to do to set up the network is go to Preferences, go to Network, and we're going to add a new network for the example here. I'm going to edit this network. We'll call it Example. And then we just need to set up the parameters for the internal network. Well, we'll use 10.2.2.0 for this one. All right. Okay, now that we have our NAT network set up, we're going to set up a couple of machines to reside on that network. So we're going to go into network. We're going to pick the NAT network and then make sure that the correct network is enabled here. So the Linux machine's good to go. Now we'll go to the Windows 10 machine, do the same thing, and it's good to go. We'll go into the Linux machine, and as you see here, it's been given an address of 10.2.2.5. So from our Windows machine, we were given an address of 10.2.2.4, and just to make sure, we're going to ping the Linux machine. All right, here we go again. We have the connection inside of the network with the Linux machine, which means we could share files. And we also have a connection to the outside world. Okay, the next network setting we're going to talk about is the bridged adapter mode. And what this means is that the virtual machine will connect to the network through the interface on the physical machine. It does have a different MAC address, so it will be given a different IP address. And let's see what we can do with this. First of all, um, let's see what IP address we were given. All right, we were given an address of 192.168.0.12, and the default gateway is 192.168.0.10. As you recall here, on my physical machine, it's got an address of 192.168.0.2 with the same default gateway, which is my physical router that's on my network. Now, I can access the internet with this setting. I can also access the other physical devices on the network, and I can also join a home group with a computer on my network. As you can see here, I got the virtual machine and my physical machine both showing up on the home group and the network here. Okay, the next network setting we're going to talk about here is the internal network. This is going to be your basic sandbox setting, so if you're going to be doing things on your virtual machine that you don't want to affect your host computer, this is where you'll need to do it. Your host computer will not be able to see the network or the virtual machine, and on the opposite side, your virtual machine on the inside of the network will not be able to communicate with anything on the outside. Okay, there are a couple of things that you need to set up should you want to communicate between two computers that are in an internal network. First, you're going to want to go to Control Panel and set up the software defined network. We're going to go to Network and Internet, Network and Sharing. We're going to change the adapter settings for this adapter here that's identified. We need to change the IP4 properties, and we're going to use the following address. I've set this one up for this virtual machine to have an address of 10.1.1.3 and a default gateway of 10.1.1.1. Now, for this to work, you're going to actually have to turn off your firewall settings. So you come here and you're going to turn Windows Defender Firewall on or off. And here I've got them both turned off. Now I'll go to my other Windows machine. I've already set up the network, so I'm going to turn off the firewall. All right. And now let's see if we can ping between the two. Okay, this one is 10.1.1.2. We're going to ping 10.1.1.3. And there you go. That's how you communicate with the internal network. And that brings us to our final setting. The last setting that we're going to talk about here is the host only adapter. And this particular setting allows you to create a software defined network that your host is also connected to. In order to set up the software network, we're going to come here to Host Manager, and we can configure the IP address of the adapter. And in this case, it's going to be 192.168.56.1, and this is going to act sort of as your router. And then we're going to enable DHCP, and our range is going to be from 101 to 254. And let's see what we look like on our virtual machines. The Windows machine here got 192.168.56.101. And the second Windows machine got 192.168.56.102. These machines will be able to communicate with each other. You'll have to go in and adjust the firewall settings again. They will not be able to communicate on the internet, but it's another sort of sandboxed arena, if you will, if you need access with your host computer. Well, that's been it for network settings here in VirtualBox. I hope you've enjoyed the video and maybe learned a little bit. This has been Brian, and until the next one, take care.